What's up guys, welcome back. Today I'll be showing you my recipe for jerk chicken pasta. Now this may come as a surprise to some of you guys. However, obviously I am not Jamaican, but I absolutely love Jamaican food. The wife and I got married in Jamaica and it's, a very special place to me. So I hope I do this recipe some justice. Now let's get in the kitchen and make it happen. We're gonna start by chopping up a yellow or white onion. Just a real rough chop will get the job done because we're gonna blend all of this up later anyway, so it doesn't really matter how you chop it up. We're also gonna chop up some green onion. As always guys, these specific measurements and ingredients are provided for you in the description box below. Also gonna do a rough chop on a bell pepper, red or green, doesn't really matter, whatever you like. This Dow Strong knife is making quick work of these veggies. Link in the description box for that as well, save yourself 10%. And here my friends is a habanero pepper. Traditionally in Jamaica they use scotch bonnet, but those are hard to come by here in Virginia, so we're using a habanero because it is the closest in terms of heat and flavor profile. You can reduce the heat by removing these seeds if you like. I kept them in there just to keep it a bit spicy. Going in with some white vinegar, followed by some lime juice and some soy sauce and a little bit more soy sauce. I'm using my immersion blender here to blend this mixture up, but feel free to use whatever you have. A regular blender will work just fine as well. You're going to want to taste this as you go and adjust it to your flavor profile preference because this, like I said, the habanero is pretty spicy. To offset that spice, we're going to actually go in with a little bit of brown sugar just to balance the flavors. That's optional. If you like it really spicy, you can just omit the sugar altogether. Going in with some ginger and some garlic paste, followed by some ground allspice. This at the grocery store is either going to be called ground allspice, Jamaican allspice, or pimento seed, followed by a little bit of nutmeg. A little bit goes a long way, so be gentle there. And a little bit of cinnamon, followed by some thyme leaves. Again, guys, the specific measurements and ingredients are in the description box below. Finish this off with a pinch or two of salt. Again, taste as you go and adjust the flavor to your preference. And now we have our marinade nice and well blended. All the flavors are getting to know each other. Looking good. We're going to use most of this to marinate our chicken. If you're feeling lazy, you can omit this whole process and just buy some Walkerswood jerk paste. That stuff is awesome. We're going to start by butterflying our chicken breast here. So lay your hand flat on the top of the chicken breast and take your knife and make an incision in the side. And just use your fingers to kind of guide you a little bit. Be careful, take your time here. No need to rush. And that is how you butterfly a piece of meat. We're going to slice this in half afterwards and have 2 chicken breast fillets. And just repeat that process with your other chicken breast. This step is optional, but I do like to make a thinner piece of chicken because it cooks more quickly in your frying pan. And you can kind of control the portion size a little bit better. We're going to season this with some salt and some jerk seasoning. Feel free to use whatever jerk seasoning you like the most. I like Walkerswood. There's several good ones. Whatever you have at your grocery store or whatever is your personal favorite, feel free to use that. Make sure you season both sides, and then we're going to place this in a mixing bowl and cover it in that marinade here momentarily. This is the brand that I was using today. That's just what I had on hand. Going into the mixing bowl, this can be marinated for 1 hour or overnight. The longer you marinate it, the more the flavor does seep into the meat and the spicier your chicken's gonna be. So just keep that in mind. You do want to reserve some of that marinade because we're going to use it for our veggies and our Alfredo sauce later. Get in there with your hand and really mix in the marinade into the meat. And again, cover this and place that in the refrigerator for at least 1 hour. While that is marinating in the refrigerator, we're gonna go ahead and slice up the rest of our vegetables that are gonna go into our pasta. That's optional as well. If you don't like these veggies, you can simply omit them. I like to slice them into thin slices like you see right here. I also like to use a red and a green bell pepper just because the color is very visually appealing, but use whatever you have or whatever you like. Slice the peppers into strips. I always like to slice my vegetables about the size of whatever pasta I'm using. So for this recipe, I'm using penne, so that's why I like to go with the strips. There we go. Now we get our skillet nice and hot, going in with some high smoke point cooking oil. I'm using avocado oil, but canola or vegetable would work as well. Always lay the meat away from you. That way you avoid any splatter. You don't want to burn yourself. I'm going to season this a little bit more with some jerk seasoning just because I felt the need. It didn't look like it was coated enough in seasoning, so added a little bit more. We're just looking to develop some nice color, some caramelization on our chicken. The brown sugar from the marinade caramelizes beautifully, as you can see here. Provides some nice flavor and color. And then you can pop that in a 400-degree oven. You want to cook your chicken breast until it reaches 165 degrees internal temperature. While the chicken is finishing up, we're going to start on our Alfredo sauce. So I'm going into my deep skillet here with 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter. Once that butter has melted nicely, we're going to actually add 1 tablespoon of flour. That's totally optional, and it's also kind of cheating, but I won't tell anybody if you won't. It does help thicken your sauce. So totally up to you if you want to use that, but I do tend to use that if I'm trying to thicken my sauce up a bit. Also going to add a teaspoon of ginger and a teaspoon of garlic paste, followed by a tablespoon or 2 of our jerk marinade. You want to taste this as you go as well because the jerk marinade is pretty spicy, so make sure you balance your flavors to your personal preference. We're going to add in a little bit of our heavy cream, give that a nice mix, make sure there's no clumps from that flour. Actually going to switch to the whisk here in just a minute just to make sure we work out any potential lumps. And make sure our sauce is nice and smooth. You want to bring this up to a boil and then reduce to a simmer. That helps absorb all of the flour and make sure your sauce is a nice smooth consistency. Now we're going to go ahead and season it with our jerk seasoning. Also, a little salt and pepper wouldn't be a bad idea here as well. And then you want to start to slowly incorporate your Parmesan cheese. Don't go putting it all in there at once because it has a tendency to kind of clump together, and that will leave lumps in your sauce as well. So a little bit at a time on the Parmesan cheese. Make sure it's mixed in well. And allow that cheese to slowly melt into your sauce. Sauce is looking beautiful at this point, nice and thick. You can see the flavor just screaming out of there. Now finally, we're going to saute our vegetables until they begin to get tender, and then we're going to add them to our sauce. So going in with a little avocado oil, those veggies we sliced earlier, followed by a little jerk seasoning and a little bit of that jerk marinade just to make sure that jerk flavor is really pronounced throughout the dish. You don't have to cook these too long, maybe 5 to 7 minutes, just until they begin to get nice and tender and the onions become translucent. Then you can kill the fire and place those veggies right into that Alfredo sauce that we made a few seconds ago. Sauce is looking beautiful. Looks even better after you add these colorful vegetables to it. Mix that well. And then it's time to plate this up. You're going to want to salt your pasta water heavily and then cook your penne noodles to the package instructions. I have total faith in you guys and your ability to cook pasta, so we're not going to spend too much time on that. Once the noodles are cooked to your preference, go ahead and add them to your sauce and fold everything in together. Good Lord, that looks good. I'm going to slice my chicken on a bias, which basically means tilt your knife at like a 45-degree angle, as you see me doing right here. Or just slice it however you want to slice it. It's your kitchen. That piece was for me. I like to use these deep bowls here for pasta. Nice presentation, but serve it up however you like. We're gonna spoon in our pasta and then top it with that sliced jerk chicken. Finish it with a little shaved Parmesan and some untraditional parsley just for a pop of color. Green onion probably would have been a better choice there, or scallion. And that, my friends, is my jerk chicken pasta. Really hope you guys enjoy this video and this recipe. If you do, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell and enable notifications. And as always, thank you guys for your support.